Hello and welcome back to the Last Sports Blog podcast. As ever, I'm joined by James Hawkins, Carl Pond and Reece Hurd. Boys, 0-0 with Doncaster yesterday, clean sheet on the opening day.
Well, you start the new season now, you finished the last one, didn't you? It's always nice to start with a clean sheet, given how dire we were defensively last season. Would have been nice to start with a goal, but we had a couple of good chances cleared off the line. I suppose what we started with in attack wasn't the combination any of us would have picked, I'm sure we all agree.
Yeah.
But other than a couple of mishaps from Aimer, a solid defensive display, really, I'd say.
James, would you go along with that?
Yeah, no, I agree. Defensively, we were okay. I think we were. We weren't brilliant. We weren't excellent, but it was better. And we've seemed to rectified the issue half in terms of down the right hand side of Luke O'Neill and Zakawani, we're fine. Down the left hand side, woeful. Because it's the same person costing us last year, this year. Nearly cost us 3 goals yesterday because he seemed to forget how to defend yet again. So in terms of that, that's why it's okay. And I just hope Lacey gets back to full fitness very, very, very soon.
Reece, 2 debutants we picked out yesterday was obviously O'Neill and Zakawani at the back. How do you think they played?
I know they were first class, probably apart from Holy. Them two were probably the next 2 best players. In a Gills shirt, I mean, like James says, well, like most people have sort of agreed with since, is that last season we probably would have lost that game. And I think a large part of the reason why we didn't is because even though at times they did get behind us, there was players willing to throw themselves in front of the ball, last ditch tackles, last ditch blocks, like I said to James yesterday. And Zakawani and O'Neill are 2 that definitely don't shirk away from sticking their body on the line for the cause, especially Zakawani. He throws himself at everything, and that's what you want from your centre half. It sets an example to the rest of them. Whether the rest of them choose to follow it is a different matter. But no, they look like 2 excellent signings. They was good all throughout pre-season, weren't they?
Yeah.
And they've continued that into the season. Like a lot of people said about O'Neill when we first signed him, he's not going to win man of the match, but you're probably going to get that level of performance from him every single week, which compared to the very inconsistent Ryan Jackson last year, it's definitely a step up for sure.
A player that we was also very, very pleased about in pre-season, missed out yesterday through injury, yet again was Bradley Garmston, and massive blow goal.
It's a bit gutting to hear it, really. I mean, I don't think the news surprised anyone, to be honest, because it's sort of the same standard that he set over the last couple of years. It's a bit unfortunate that he just has recurring injuries coming up again and again. But it threw a spanner into the works in the lineup. And when you look at what we ended up having to play, do you think that there's a possibility that maybe Max Lemon might not have started if Garmston was fit?
Well, it would have been the same back 5 that I predicted had he been fit. Like, I'd have had Garmston on the left with Ogilvie or Olive, however you want to say it, coming in at left centre half. So I personally would have left him out.
Where I think Garms is a massive loss is that he's much more adventurous going forward than Ogilvie. Ogilvie was sound defensively yesterday, but he doesn't really try and throw himself forward that much. And in that wing-back role, you really, really need that, especially when with the midfield 3 we had, apart from Martin, the other 2 weren't particularly attack-minded. You relied on your wing-backs really getting forward and provide an outlet, and Waggy tried to do it on the right, but on the left-hand side there weren't really a lot coming down there.
It's a bit of a shame, because whenever Holly gathered the ball and was looking to distribute it, Ogilvie was always in the most space, but then he'd move forward to about the halfway line and then sort of stop dead and think, oh god, now what?
A bit like Ryan Jackson last season.
Well, there was one point where Holy threw it out to him really quickly, and he had about 30 yards of space in front of him, and he just stopped and looked up and tried to look for the long ball straight away. When if he'd have just carried on driving forward with the ball, we might have actually gained a bit of momentum going forward with it. But listen, I suppose at the end of the day, he's a defender, his job's to defend, and he did that fairly well yesterday. But obviously, just when you're playing this wing-back system, that the emphasis on the wing-backs getting forward is so important if you want to create chances and score goals ultimately. And that is where Garmson's going to be a miss, because pre-season he was playing pretty much as a winger most of the time.
Yeah.
And also, even defensively, even if he ever gets caught out, where he's lightning quick, you always know he's going to be able to get back and recover. So no, it's gutting for him, because it's not hamstring, is it? It's slightly different this time. It just seems like it's one thing after another. You feel for him, but like he replied to the club yesterday when they were saying it was going to be like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
He's not even had a scan yet, so he doesn't know. It might not end up being as bad as what people think. So just have to wait and see, I suppose.
On the subject of injuries, James, Billy Bingham and Scott Wagstaff had to leave the field yesterday. Let's hope that they're not two big injuries.
That was one I was more Bingham more than anything, because up until then he was the best player in the park. He was absolutely excellent. He broke everything up. His positioning was excellent. And for anyone that, like I said yesterday on the vlog and stuff like that, for anyone that criticised leaving Wright out, Pennock got that spot on, because Bingham and Byrne were first class yesterday. Bingham is a very good acquisition for us. Replaces Aaron Morris perfectly. And yeah, Wagstaff. I actually thought Wagstaff was poor yesterday. Considering he's one of the more experienced members of the group, there was an attack where we had 3 on 1 at one time, and instead of just squaring it to Eves for Eves to knock it into the box, he decided to smash it himself and smashed it right over the bar.
Is that the one that he sliced?
Yeah, and you think to yourself that there, with a bit more experience, just to knock that across the box for someone to just tap it home.
Yeah.
And yeah, let's hope it's not too serious, because they're two important players for us.
Yeah.
But I think Tuesday there's going to be a few changes anyway, so.
Yeah, let's hope so. Moving aside from injuries, a player that we all, maybe apart from Carl, have digged out recently, Tom Ashley was outstanding yesterday. Yeah. Absolutely outstanding. Best player on the pitch.
It's come under a lot of criticism from me and you, Reece, hasn't he? An awful lot in videos and podcasts as well. But like we've said many times in this blog, when players deserve praise, they're going to get it.
Yeah.
And he's one that deserved it. But I said on a video that I was doing earlier, View from the Stands, that what makes a good goalkeeper is if they can do it on a consistent basis. And if he can perform 7 out of 10 every single week, then I will hold my hands up and say that he's proved us wrong. But it's all well and good in playing 9 out of 10 yesterday and then going to cost us a game next week against Bradford.
Yeah.
Because that's what he was doing last year. So it's going to be interesting to see, can he do it over a consistent basis for us? And if he can, then it's only good for us, isn't it? So,
Carl, as someone that hasn't really digged out Holy much, what was it like seeing him play like that yesterday?
Well, it was nice seeing that the confidence that I put in him wasn't completely lost, and him putting in an awful performance. But things that I said, and it's not in a way to dig out Nelson, but a couple of stops that Holly made, I don't think Nelson would have done. A couple of them down just due to reflexes, due to the fact that Holly's a lot younger and has more arm to work with than Nelson does, being so tall. And his distribution, I've always said, is considerably better than Nelson's, because Nelson's routine is wait for everyone to get up the pitch to the halfway line, bounce it a couple of times, kick it out for a throw-in, rinse, repeat, and the next attack comes. When Holly, you could see every time he got the ball, he was looking to just find a quick option. How many times he threw it out to Conor Ogilvie, I don't know, but it was a lot.
Yeah.
And he's always, that's good when you're trying to build on a counter-attack, which is, I think, what a lot of the football's going to be this season, to be honest.
Yeah.
Which means he'd be quite a big part of it. Yeah, he's put in a very good performance. I'd like to see him carry on, because, as James said, having a goalkeeper that does 9 out of 10 one week and then 4 out of 10 next week is going to end up making you more of a net loss than a net gain.
Yeah.
So if he carries on consistently, I'm sure everyone would be happy, because no one wants to see him fail.
No, absolutely not. Talking of Stuart Nelson, though, research left out of the matchday squad yesterday.
Yeah, a bit of a strange one, wasn't it, really?
Considering that Hadler had barely any minutes in pre-season.
Yeah, Nelson was playing in pretty much every single game. Unless it means that someone's coming for him all of a sudden. So
Yeah.
Penix decided just to leave him out because otherwise, unless there's some backstory to it, it just doesn't really add up.
Yeah.
It was like even the Chatham Town game, he could have left Hadler out there for 90 minutes, and he didn't. He brought Nelson on to get him time. Just didn't really make sense to us why Hadler wasn't getting more time. And then we went to the Q&A Tuesday, and the feeling we got from that was that Hadler's going to be going out on loan.
Said he needed minutes, didn't he?
And then first game of the season, it's Hadler on the bench and not Nelson.
Yeah.
It's a bit strange, but, you know, to be fair, Pennock's made his stance on Nelson perfectly clear, not only by transfer listing, but he reiterated that Tuesday that at the end of the day he's made that decision for footballing reasons. I don't think he's going to change it. People can make it up. People can say it's harsh treatment of Nelson. I don't think it is. At the end of the day, it's football. It's cutthroat. If Pennock don't think Nelson's good enough as a football goalkeeper for this team anymore, he's not just going to play him just because he's a club legend to keep people happy. It is what it is. Players come and go, and Nelson isn't the future anymore. So it was a surprise, but I was perfectly happy to see Hadler take his place on the bench yesterday.
Right, well, we've done our praising, and we do like a good moan on the Last Thoughts blog. So let's move on to a player that I digged out so many times last season, and had to do it again yesterday. James, Max Seymour was awful.
Yeah.
Where do you start though?
I'm gonna try and say this without being really, really horrible. But he seems to completely forget how to defend yesterday. I don't know what it was. I don't know if he's not comfortable playing in the back three.
Do you think it might have been because he's on the left side as well and he's not?
I don't know, but there were so many excuses last year that he's playing with different partners, he's playing with new players. But for me, the same problems that were happening last year happened yesterday.
But only with him.
Yeah, he's getting caught out. He's not the one that the ball dinked over Holy, and O'Neill cleared it. He's not watching. He's not watching his runner, and he's just looking at the ball. And then Holy is screaming at him for doing that exact thing.
Switching off.
It's alarming for a centre half, but ultimately, I just don't think Max Seymour can sense danger. Which for your centre half playing at the heart of the defence is alarming. I just like I said, it's so often, like 2 or 3 times in the first 15 minutes, someone's got him behind off the back of his shoulder. It's as if he just doesn't pay any attention because all he has to do maybe is just drop off a yard.
Because technically, as a technical footballer, he's not that bad.
He's right for League One level.
He can spray a pass.
Yeah.
He's good with his feet. He's good with both feet.
And he's a threat.
Yeah,
from attacking set pieces.
Yeah,
which is always good.
But every time a ball goes in behind him and has to spin him, and he's facing his own goal, he hates it. Yeah. He absolutely hates it.
I think every time his starting position has to be 2 yards deeper because of how slow he is.
Yeah, but I think what might be good for Max Seymour is when Lacey comes back from fitness, because we're playing a back three and Pennock's going with that. Theoretically, he still doesn't have any competition because he's not going with a back two. If you're going with a back, O'Mara's not competition because I think Pennock sees him in case of any injuries. But as soon as I think Lacey gets back to fitness, hopefully that can bring out the best in Max Seymour because he needs something. He needs to rock up his arse because he needs to sort it out because as soon as Lacey gets back to fitness, he's going to be out of the team.
The one moment for me yesterday with Max Seymour was when we had a free kick in a dangerous position, and it was laid off to Scott Wagstaff, I think. And
that was awful.
One thing after another, we lost possession. They was 3-on-1, and anyway, it ended. We had the ball back, and I looked to the halfway line. I don't know why, and Max Seymour just stood on the halfway line. That's your centre half. This bloke was captain last season. Centre half stood on the halfway line when there's 3-on-1. You're busting the gut to get back. As one of the senior members of the team, as a centre half, he's got to be busting guts to get back. And he's standing on the halfway line, just watching.
That's the thing. I know that you can see it obviously on social media that he doesn't like criticism. And the thing is that we don't like digging out players. We don't like.
I hate doing it.
We don't want to personally attack players. But if we see players not giving everything for the shirt,
then I'll dig you out.
Then, unfortunately,
it's going to happen.
It is going to happen.
It's not like he's a new player as well. Our first game for Gills, he's had a shocker. write it off. This is like 2 years of us saying he's really like Egan made him look better than he was. Like, he
3 years
really
including alone.
isn't that good.
Do we think that, given what we've just said, with the fact he can't sense danger, we all know from existing things that he doesn't like heading the ball, he isn't tracking back quickly enough. Do you think he's actually centre off?
No, I don't. What is he? Because he can't play CDM because you have to be able to sense danger, like what Bingham does. He's like Bingham is perfect in that role because he's like a whack-a-mole thing. He senses danger, he puts it out. Something's coming, he puts it out.
Yeah.
Aimer couldn't do that.
I think the thing is with Aimer is that because he's technically gifted and he knows it, I think that he sometimes tries to overplay.
Yeah.
And where he overplays, that's when he gets caught out. You saw with Zakawana yesterday, every time he got near the ball, someone come near him, out of play, get rid.
No nonsense.
What Aimer needs to do is go back to basics of defending, and if he does that, he'll be okay.
Yeah.
Because he can play football, he's good enough, and we've seen him do it. There's been games where you have to put your hands up, and he's been good enough defensively.
Yeah.
There was under 6 months of Edinburgh, when we were near the top league, you couldn't fault him. He was absolutely excellent. So we know he's got potential there, and I think that's why he frustrates us.
Yeah.
But he needs to go back to the basics of defending, and I think that's what's annoying us.
I think with Aimer as well, he's already at a disadvantage, like I said before, with how slow he is. He's got to drop 2 yards deeper just to give him time to go in and put that ball out.
But he's not listening.
I know.
That's the issue. There was times yesterday where O'Neill, Holy and Zakawani all screaming at Aimer to move up, and he wasn't listening.
And bear in mind, we've all said Holy's not experienced enough. It's O'Neill's debut. It's Zakawani's debut.
He's got no excuse now.
And they're screaming at him.
He's got no excuse now. At the end of the day, Pennock could have easily gone with Fid O'Mara yesterday.
Easily, yeah.
Because pre-season, he was good enough. He's gone with Aimer. Aimer's now got to prove that he's good enough for this Gillingham side.
I know one of the reasons people will use to stick up for him is that he was playing with so many different defenders and partnerships last year, and first game of this season it's 2 new defenders. Well, it's the same situation for O'Neill and Zakawani, and they've not had a problem with it. You know, it's their first league competitive game for Gills in a brand new team, different players, and they've settled in all right.
O'Neill bailed Max Aimer out 2 minutes into the game. When he let that player through one-on-one, he's dinked it over Holy, and O'Neill's only just got there and tipped it around.
Surely new season, 2 minutes into the game, Northern away game. Surely Pennock would have been just nothing silly earlier. I think it was like 1 minute 46 when I looked at the scoreboard, and Aimer just switches off, and the bloke runs in behind him, little through ball, and he's one-on-one with the goalkeeper.
But another sort of thinking point, which is at the Q&A on Tuesday, Pennock said there's a lot of players last year that when it was going well under Edinburgh, that confidence was going good, everyone was very happy, and then when a couple of things didn't go our way, confidence just dropped and the players' performances stopped, essentially.
He's one of those.
We're saying that about Aimer, with the fact that when under that reign of Pennock he was doing excellent, now he's not, and it's still carried over here. It's like, as you guys were saying about Holly in pre-season, when he makes one mistake, head's gone.
Yeah.
Do you reckon it's the same about Aimer?
It could be.
I believe so.
And in which case, the best case is to take him out of the firing line for a bit. Like I say, get Lacey fit, get him in there. Let Aimer see things from the side for a little bit. Like
He's still young as well.
Yeah, he's still in, what, 24, 25?
I think he's younger, isn't he?
I don't know.
He's got a lot ahead of him,
But
definitely.
Watch closely how Zakawani plays the game.
Yeah.
Simple. Like you say, go back to Zach. We're raving about Zakawani.
Yeah.
He didn't go around spraying passes around or just spooting the ball really well. Like you say, he won everything that came to him in the air and stuck it out when he had to. And at League One level, if you have a couple like that, you're going to be all right. And I think that's what Aimer needs to do more of. Don't know if it's because where he's come from, like he's been at teams higher than Gills, whether they've tried to teach him to play football as a centre half, and he's not really been taught the head it and kick it side of the game. I don't know, but he's been here long enough now.
Definitely has been taught the head it side.
You're in the Sky Bet Yorkshire and Lancashire League now, son. You've got to be oofing it.
To be honest, I'm sick of this excuse that he's got different partners and stuff like that. Unfortunately, players come and go.
Yeah.
You've got to deal with it. Like you said, Reece, that he had 2 new partners yesterday. O'Neill and Zakawani had the same thing. They've got new players around them. At the end of the day, if you don't play well enough, you don't get in the team.
But
so
you did mention competition, James, and one thing that I've only just remembered is that when we was doing well under Edinburgh and we loaned in Harry Lennon, as soon as Lennon come in, the partnership was Egan and Lennon. Aimer was nowhere near the side. Couldn't compete with Lennon.
Well, even at the start of the season, it was Deji and Egan. Aimer was on
Yeah.
the bench because we signed Aimer permanently, didn't we, from the loan? And the season started, and everyone's going, "Why ain't Aimer in the team?"
Yeah.
Because he was really good on loan.
Yeah.
And then Desi was playing with Egan, and we was doing really, really well. And I don't know when it was Aimer started playing, but then obviously the second
got
half,
injured, I think.
the second half of the season happened where Aimer played all the
Desi got a few
time.
like injuries, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then Lennon come in, and as soon as Lennon come in, he was the best centre half that season. He was better than Egan for
I
me.
just think, like you said, Reece, is that Aimer just needs to. I think best thing for Pennock is to take him out the firing line and watch from the sidelines and see how defensively we are defending. And look, maybe even get Zakawani to pull him aside
Yeah.
and teach him the basics.
I mean, I don't like digging him out, but after performances like that yesterday, I've got no option. I seriously haven't, because that is one of the worst defensive to plays I've ever seen from him. That maybe is worse than the Gills shirt, like ever, even including the loan maybe.
He was good on loan.
Yeah.
Don't know
Yeah.
what it was, but no, I say it's not a case of it's a brand new player and like I'll give him time. This has been 18 months
I
minimum.
think we'd all like to hope it is just a confidence issue where stuff's gone pear-shaped and we just things start going our way again and his performances get better and then he just gets pulled aside and said, keep it like this.
Yeah.
Don't let your head drop when stuff starts going bad because we ain't going to win every game.
Because the problem is, I don't know what suits him more out of a back 3 or 5, whatever you call it, or a back 4. Because you'd think ideally playing in a 3, if he does get caught out, there's the extra man there to help him out.
Yeah.
But then I suppose on the flip side,
It's good
if
thing
your
we had that
fullbacks
yesterday.
get caught high, there's plenty of space in behind him, like what
Exactly.
happened yesterday. But then the 2, if he goes and fluffs one, you've got one centre half on their own. It's
Yeah.
like I don't really know what the best formation for him is. What would
Yeah,
make
I'm
him
not
look
sure.
a better centre half? I just think ultimately, when everyone's fit, there's going to be 3 centre halves ahead of him. Because Pennock keeps saying he's looking for more players, and he said to us that a centre half is one of them.
Yeah, he did.
Zakwani and O'Neill won't be going anywhere after that yesterday.
No.
Let's move on from Max Amy then. We've got the moaning out of the way. Next subject is Josh Wright being dropped.
Yeah. Difficult one. It's a difficult one because I'm probably going to get criticised, but I think Pennock got it right. I think that Pennock sees he said in his interviews that he sees Josh Wright as an attacking midfielder. He was playing Lee Martin in there, away from home. You don't need 2 attacking midfielders. Martin was superb yesterday. Burns had a good pre-season. Bingham's had a good pre-season. So, on the face of it, you pick the players that are in form, and the 3 midfielders are the best 3 midfielders that have come from pre-season into the season. And I think, on my personal opinion, I think Adi Pennock got it absolutely spot on yesterday.
I still think he's off.
Carl, I know James might disagree, but do you think it was a case of taking him out the shop window?
No. There's multiple factors it could be. It could be that he wants to keep him for Reading. It could be, as James said, that due to the nature of the formation we play and where we were, we only have one attacking midfielder. You, by pure logic, you put your captain in there if your captain's an attacking midfielder.
Of course, yeah.
So he's just been a victim of a series of unfortunate events, or it could be that he's off. Could be any of the above.
Could mean anything. Same with Nelson being left out yesterday. Could mean absolutely
Yeah,
anything.
I still think he'll leave.
It's just one game. We can't read too much into it. 'Cause it's not a trend.
Yeah.
What was interesting though is how people noticing that sort of like 1:45, or whenever, once the team got found out, 5-2, whatever, and people noticing like anyone that was criticising the decision on Twitter, he was liking all the tweets
Yeah.
as if something's rolled him up the wrong way.
We've had a falling out.
Which, yeah, exactly. Which,
But I remember Oldacre doing the same last season.
yeah, and he can't get a game.
And he never got criticised for it, in fairness.
Well, Billy Knott did it at one point. People were quick enough to give him stick. He ain't here anymore.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Oldacre can't get a game. I don't know. Because that's unlike Wright.
That is
in my
unlike
opinion.
Wright, yeah. He's usually quite
disciplined.
professional, and he wasn't liking any tweets like that if he's left out under Edinburgh.
I still think he'll leave before the transfer window shuts, personally.
I think he'll leave. Unfortunately, because I like Wright.
Oh no, I like
we all
him,
like
but is what
And,
it is.
and
isn't it?
he's been good for this club.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
Let's-
it's serious
let's
yesterday
give him a bit of
when he
praise.
came on
He's
from the
been
bench.
fantastic.
His 100th appearance when he came
100
off the bench
appearance for us,
yesterday.
yeah. So he's been good for us, but
He come on yesterday.
Didn't set the world on fire.
Didn't
we
do
haven't
an
lost
awful
him
lot.
yet though. We haven't lost
No,
him
we
yet.
haven't yet. We haven't yet. But
He's still a Gills player.
don't know, just something like not just him being left out yesterday, like playing with the kids at Canvey Island as well.
And Chatham.
It's like
Gave us the impression that he's
bit
second
weird,
string.
yeah, as if like Pennant knows, or he's planning that I think he's going to go at some point, so I'm going to try and get the team used to not having him. I don't know. It could be, like Carl says, it could be one of 10, 20 different things. Just have to wait and see, I suppose.
Right, we'll move on again. Next one before the very last subject is striking options. Obviously, Josh Parker and Tommy started up front yesterday, and one player that did get digged out a hell of a lot was Josh Parker.
They were both absolutely woeful. I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh yeah, they're just getting used to it. They both stood on each other's toes, no movement. Eves for a big lad, not strong enough. Got bullied by the two centre halves. Parker, no movement. Just didn't use his pace, didn't get behind. Track back well, which is good because he's a winger, so he shouldn't be playing up front anyway.
Yeah.
It just goes to show that if you play two people up there that have no movement, that's exactly what happens. Pennant left the Nash substitution far too late, so we couldn't get anything out of the game. But I really don't want to see Tom Eves and Josh Parker start up front together for Gillingham Football Club.
One common occurrence I literally kept seeing every time they were together. If Martin had the ball and was looking to play it like wherever, someone come deep, someone go, they were both spinning and looking for the over the top ball. They were both doing the same thing. For me, Parker's got to drop because let Tom Eves do the target man role.
Well, just before the second half whistle went, I noticed Byrne pulled Parker and Eves to one side and was talking to them about movement,
Was he?
as if you're telling two professional footballers how to play up front
Yeah.
together. It's just please don't do it again.
It did just look like there was absolutely no chemistry there between
No.
the two of them at all. I mean,
No.
like James says, Eves was bullied by their two centre halves, and I think within 5 minutes of Wilkinson coming on, he'd won more headers than what Eves had in 65, 70 minutes.
Yeah.
From the vision me and James had of it, maybe a little bit fortunate to have stayed on the field as well, Eves, when he caught their centre half with the elbow and got booked. I don't know if that was just frustration that he weren't getting things going his way. But I think he just needs to be a bit more clever. Obviously, he's coming up from League 2 to League 1. He's a big lad, and if he can get himself between man and ball, he'll draw fouls. And he weren't doing that yesterday either. The ball weren't sticking to him. And like plenty of us have said, Parker, if you play Parker out wide, I think he can be effective. I think he showed that at Northampton day last season. He can pick the ball up facing goalwards and drive at people with it. Whereas when you're playing up front, you get a little bit more isolated at times. Sometimes you do have to play back to goal, and it doesn't suit him. And when he does try and make runs in behind, he's always about 3 seconds too early. So as soon as the ball comes, flag goes up, and that's when people get frustrated with him. So yeah, I definitely think Wilkinson. I think Wilkinson would have started anyway had he have been fully fit.
Yeah.
But he made more of an impression on me in 20 minutes than what the other two did yesterday.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And yeah, I'm in agreement with James that I think Nash should have come on a bit earlier, because you do need some. If you're going to have a target man up front, you do need someone as well that's going to run and try and stretch the defence and get him behind. And like what they kept doing to Aimer, turn them round, because centre halves don't like facing their own goal.
Yeah.
So that's something that I think we can look to improve on going forward. But on the flip side, it was a tough away game after a tricky season last year. Maybe that is going to be our setup away from home, where we're going to just try and be difficult to beat, and if we can, nick 1-0 wins here and there from Zakwani set pieces or whatever. But I don't think people would put up very long if we play that way at Priestfield. I think we've got to show a bit more adventure and get a Nash or a Kundal in there to just get a bit more intensity going, because yesterday they were picking the ball up on the edge of their box and we weren't trying to nick it off them. There was no high press. Everyone just retreated to the halfway line and gave them half the field to start playing.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's what people are going to want to see at home having paid 400 quid for their season tickets or whatever. They're going to want to, like Pennock said when he come in, very first day, he wants to get people off their seats, and that's where you need a Nash. Like Nash has done in pre-season, his trial. He's got people excited, giving everyone a lift. Now we want to see him on the field.
Carl, who would you start up front together?
Depends who we are and where we're playing.
Reading away, perhaps.
Yeah, I wouldn't play Parker up front at all, because I don't want to copy what Reece said too much, but Parker's such a different player when he's playing out wide to when he's up front. When you've got Parker and Eves up front, it was like looking at a mirror image, except one of them's a bit taller and has a bad hairdo. You know, but then when you play Parker out wide, he looks so much more adventurous.
He does, yeah. He looks more comfortable as well.
So yeah, it's just really odd. But
for me,
personally,
I'd go with Wilkinson. What's the name? Nash.
Yeah,
Wilkinson
I think they'd be my
Nash,
front two. Wilkinson and Nash. Certainly at home.
Yeah.
Away, maybe if you go with the two big forwards,
it depends
Wilkinson
who
and
we're
Eves.
against. If we're against quite a young, experienced team, I'd say probably Eves instead of Wilkinson and Nash or Cundall, because then that's the time when you can just play route one, knock it down, lay on Nash, goal, repeat.
Because the issue is, Josh, is that it's all right playing Doncaster, but if you go to a Blackburn at Ewood Park and play Eves and Parker, they're going to have an absolute field day.
Yeah.
Defending against them two. So,
for me, Nash as well. Even yesterday, when we were sitting really deep, he was the only one up front, and he was pressing. Absolutely, every time the keeper had the ball, press. Every time a defender had the ball, press. He chased from the moment he got on the pitch to the moment he left.
But
the pitch.
I agree with you. I think that if Wilkinson's fit, Parker don't get in the team.
It's like you say when Nash come on. Look at that 6 months of the season under Edinburgh where we was really, really good. That was the main factor of our game. We got in people's faces. We pressed high.
Yeah.
We was full of intensity. And teams at this level don't like it because they're not technically good enough to play around it like what a Barcelona or whatever would be, where it don't faze them. At our standard of football, if you get in people's faces with hard-working, high-energy players, they don't like it because that Edinburgh team. Last season's squad on paper was 10 times better than that squad.
Yeah, it was.
But they all worked in the same direction. They knew their role of pressing high, engaging high up the field, and it paid dividends for us. But like I say, maybe that's just an away tactic from Pennock after last season. First game, he don't want us to go and get turned over. So I think he will be more cautious away from home naturally. But like I say, at Priestfield, we've got to show a little bit more from an offensive point of view. And I'm sure we will. I'm sure maybe Nash or Wilkinson at least will get a game at Bradford against Bradford next week.
Moving on to the final subject then of the podcast, we face Reading away Tuesday night. What are we hoping from the game? Maybe another cup run.
Well, no injuries.
Good performance.
Would be nice.
Yeah.
A few of the kids, maybe.
I don't think any of us are expecting a win, but it'd be nice to see entertainment.
Yeah.
Entertainment and
Yeah.
youngsters, one or two.
Yeah,
Both is preferable.
Let's get make 3 or 4 changes, get a couple of the youngsters in Nash and that, and let's give it a go. If we lose 3-1, we lose 3-1.
Yeah.
But if we've created chances and just it's been a case we've not really put them away, and they, as the top 6 championship side, have shown more clinical edge in front of goal, we'll hold our hands up and say we've been beaten by a better team, but we've come and played and given it a really good go.
Be interested to see who's in goal Tuesday.
Yeah. But like you said, Reece, like you said, Reece, on your fan cam yesterday, they were one kick away from the Premier League last season.
Yeah.
These ain't no mugs.
Just
If we get beat, we get beat.
I want us to have a go. We went to Spurs last year and completely laid down and went, yeah, go on, have the ball.
Yeah. We took it.
So I'd like us to go to Reading, have a go, show what we're about, and if we get beaten by the better side, fine.
Yeah. If we get beat, I don't think anyone will moan. It's just in the manner of how we get beat.
Yeah.
If we roll over, let them play football, do whatever they want, they come out 4-0 winners, then
They would, because they're a very, very good side, Reading, when they get the ball down.
then we
Good football inside.
we'd all come home and
Lost
say
yesterday,
that was a bit crap, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Because we haven't given it a go. We just sort of
People
turn
done
up
that at
and
Spurs last year.
Yeah,
People left early.
turned up and watched a load of rubbish. When if we got beat 4-0, but say we actually tried to play football, had a few chances, they haven't gone our way or stuff. We come back and say we're giving it a go. It was quite fun to watch.
But it's like when we played Birmingham a couple of seasons ago in the cup. We had chances. We just lost to the better side. That's all I want from this game.
Yeah, it's football.
Just be in it. Just be in it.
we're against varsity superior team. We're expecting to be out in the first round. Let's just give it a go, see what happens.
As long as we're in the game, I'm happy.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, thank you as always for joining us on the Last Football podcast. And as always, up Gills.